Hello everybody, my name is Gabriela Limon. Today I am going to be discussing the phylum Ascomycota, also known as the sac fungi. I do apologize in advance if I butcher these words, but I am going to absolutely try my best to pronounce everything. Pictured below, I just put two species of fungi that I found appealing. Not appealing in that way, but just they're kind of interesting to look at. So on the left we have the Peziza, and on the right is Penicillium, and these are two species of fungi that we will learn more about later on. But now we can go into the classification. Ascomycota belong to the kingdom fungi. They are heterotrophic and eukaryotic, and this is actually the largest phylum of fungi because it has over 64,000 different species. So we can actually divide the Ascomycota into three subphyla. First being Pezizomycotina. That one will include mostly just like the macroscopic ascos, which we will talk more about later, but they can be like truffles, ergo, cup fungi, the first photo we saw of that Peziza. The Saccharomycotina will include like the true yeast and the candida, which we will also talk more about later. And of course, the Taphrinomycotina, which is recognized as following molecular DNA analysis and includes hyphofungi, fission yeast, and even a mammalian lung parasite known as pneumocytosis. The basic structure of the sac fungi. They are called sac fungi because of their sexual spores. These are ascospores, actually, and they're produced in a sac or ascus, as we see in the bottom left-hand picture. They're like in a little sac, and those who are asexual, because there are some that are asexual, do not form those ascospores or the asci. So on the far left, you can see that they form these kind of conidiospores. And just in the middle there, I have some different structures of different type of Ascomycota. It just really depends on the species, what they will look like. There's mold, yeast, the cup fungus again, which we are seeing again. When it comes to reproduction, like I said, some are asexual, some are sexual, some will be through sexual production, but asexual reproduction is the dominant reproduction in Ascomycota, and it's actually responsible for the rapid spread of fungi into like new areas. So it happens through those reproductive spores that we saw called conidiospores, which typically have one nucleus and are products of mitotic cell division. So we can see that here in the picture on the right, that through mitosis these spores are created because of those conidiospores. And it just depends on the species, but they can either be dispersed by wind, water, or even animals. And while in sexual reproduction in the phylum Ascomycota, it leads to the formation of the ascus. So we see in the picture right there that through charygamy, the nuclei in the asci fuse to form a diploid zygote. Sorry. And so yeah, these little asci are like tube-shaped vessels, and they contain the sexual spores, which are the products of meiosis. So yeah, you can just see through there that is the sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. Now there are some species of Ascomycota that can cause human disease. The most common, actually, is Aspergillus fumigatus. This one is an infection that happens in the lungs to those with compromised immune systems, meaning that their immune systems aren't always able to fight off these infectious diseases and oftentimes can lead to death. There are these azoles drugs, perhaps I think that's how you say it, that kill the fungi, but just in the last year or so, with the just response in need for these immunity medicines, there have been over 600,000 deaths. It is responsible for 600,000 deaths annually. So, yeah. Um, on the far right, upper hand right, you can see the Aspergillus fumigatus. And then another one would be the Candida albicans, which right there in the middle is what it looks like in a microscope. And on the bottom right hand corner is what it looks like in a mouth infection. Now, this is a yeast that attacks the mucous membranes, which can cause an infection like we see there in the picture of the mouth or even the vagina, called thrush. It is often found in HIV infected patients, so treatment can include antibiotic therapy or sometimes even surgery. But it is not all bad. Ascomycota does have some benefits. The Ascomycota penicillium chrysogenum, that one is a mold-like substance that actually grows like on the rind of rotting fruits, or um, just it grows around. And from this, the antibiotic penicillin is able to be produced. This actually triggered a revolution in the treatment of bacterial infectious diseases in the 20th century. So it was a great advancement for that. And then on the bottom, we see the Saccharomyces cerevisiae, baker's yeast. On the bottom left-hand corner, we see what it looks like in its true form. And then we see on the bottom right-hand corner that it can be turned into yeast. I'm sure everyone has heard of baker's yeast, or if anyone likes to bake or cook themselves, maybe they've used it. But it's mostly used, it can be used to produce beer, wine, bread, cheese, but a lot of us know baker's yeast because the production of CO2 that happens when you use it actually will help bread rise. So it gives it that nice, beautiful effect when we see bread rise. And that is pretty much it on Phylum Ascomycota. These are the resources that I used. I hope that this video was somewhat knowledgeable and that I did not butcher the words too horrible. I know that I learned something, so yeah, thank you.